We're honored to be joined by Nickolay Mladenov, the Special Coordinator of the United Nations to the Middle East, for a conversation with Khaled Abu Toameh, the Jerusalem Post correspondent for Palestinian affairs.
Mr. Nickolay Mladenov, the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, thank you for being with us today.
Good to be.
Mr. Mladenov, I'd like to first ask you, you've been involved in this peace process between Israel and the Palestinians for several years now. You are a veteran diplomat, very experienced. Can you tell us, if you were to sum up your experiences right now, are you satisfied with what you have done so far?
I'm happy that over the last 2 years we've managed to avoid another war in Gaza. I think that is a substantial achievement. What I'm not happy about is that we have not been able to identify the necessary political leadership, both among the Israelis and the Palestinians, to restart real negotiations on a more sustainable solution to what we have now. Because what we have now is a set of temporary arrangements, be that in Gaza, be that in the West Bank with the Palestinian Authority, that are not sustainable in the long run. And I do believe still very much that the only sustainable way out of this conflict is if the Palestinians and Israelis have states of their own and live in peace and understanding based on arrangements related to security, arrangements related to the economy, and everything else that needs to be worked out. Unfortunately, we're a very far away from that type of a discussion now. So I'm hoping that still what we've done over the last few years and what we will continue to do is in creating the conditions that allow for the leadership on both sides to re-engage constructively, if and when that leadership wishes to do so.
Well, but in the meantime, we've seen that most of your efforts have been focused on Gaza, or as you said, on preventing an all-out military confrontation between Israel and Hamas. So would you say that your mission has been to maintain or control the situation more than trying to find a solution?
Well, a solution is really not in the hands of the United Nations or anyone in the international community. It's in the hands of the leadership on both sides. What we can do is we can work with the conditions that we have here. And that is why we focus very much over the last 2 years on preventing war in Gaza. I think another war in Gaza would have been devastating for the people there. It would have been terrible for the Israeli communities living outside of Gaza, and it would have had really complicated regional repercussions. And that is why perhaps our mission has shifted a little bit towards preventive diplomacy more than towards international negotiations that seek a final resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Of course, in the last few months, we've really had to also focus on a new threat, and that is the coronavirus situation.
Yes, can you tell us about the UN's involvement in this regard? How has the UN been helping the Palestinians in the West Bank or in Gaza regarding the coronavirus threat?
Just this week, we delivered an additional 20,000 tests to Gaza. We had a consistent pipeline of delivering assistance both to the Israelis and to the Palestinians in coordination with Israel in the West Bank and Gaza. And all of this has been done with donations from UN member states. We've had very serious support from countries across Europe, from countries in the Arab world, from Kuwait, of course, the United Arab Emirates sent two planes to Tel Aviv with assistance for the Palestinians. All of this has been coordinated through our humanitarian system. And I think it is a part of the hidden secret of the work that the UN is doing well on the ground right now, because all of this is done in coordination with the Israeli government, with the Palestinian government, and with every single entity on the ground that we need to reach out to. Because if, for example, just to give you a brief example, if in Gaza we have a major outbreak of the virus with 2 million people who live in isolation, with a failing healthcare system, the consequences will be devastating. And since March of this year, just in Gaza, the onslaught of the virus has been prevented and delayed for a number of months. We're now seeing an increase in cases, but we're also seeing an increase in the efforts of everyone to try and mitigate the situation there.
Yes, you've been talking to Hamas leaders in Gaza quite often in the past few months or years. I mean, what do you think they really want?
Well, we have to talk to everybody. It's very different. You know, the Middle East is, and particularly the Middle East peace process, is a little bit of a world of broken mirrors. Not every time you see something is exactly what you get from the other side. We have been engaging very effectively, I think, on reducing tensions and on managing escalations and on allowing for additional support to reach people who need it. And this we've done in coordination with Egypt and with everyone else in the region, pretty much.
Now, how come we didn't see UN involvement? Yeah, how come we didn't see UN involvement in the last ceasefire? I mean, we saw that only Qatar took credit for it.
It's not a matter of who takes credit. It's a matter of what are the arrangements that have been put in place for the last couple of years. What we have worked with Egypt on is to try and put a system that ensures that such escalations do not come out of control. And Qatar obviously played a very important role. They play a very important role in Gaza, providing funding for fuel, for people, for electricity in Gaza. But the whole framework that has been established by the United Nations and by Egypt is a framework that is still holding. Now, will it hold in the future? I can't speak to that because I think we're seeing now an increasing, different tensions increase on the ground. And potentially we will need to assess how we move the situation forward.
So would you say that you are optimistic right now? Would you say that you are optimistic?
About the future, I'm carefully optimistic. But whether I'm more optimistic than that really depends on whether the parties on the ground are willing to find a long-term solution to the problems of Gaza. And long-term solutions to the problems of Gaza are not somebody buying fuel for the power station. Long-term solutions are political. They involve reconciliation among the Palestinians. They involve adherence to the principles that have been recognized in the international community as to recognizing Israel as a state and the future of the two-state solution. They are connected to elections, which are critically important for the Palestinian side. And obviously, they're very much connected to also removing obstacles for access in Gaza.
Mr. Nickolay Mladenov, the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.